The Crithian training grounds fell silent as the human entered. Commander Zarthok's four eyes widened in alarm, his chitinous plates bristling. The 60 cubs, young warriors bred for aggression, trained since hatching to kill, turned as one toward the newcomer. Dr. Sarah Chen carried nothing but a datapad and a worn satchel. She was smaller than most species in the Galactic Coalition, unremarkable by any military standard. Yet every instructor in the compound knew her reputation. Humans were dangerous, unpredictable. They had turned the tide of 3 major conflicts through sheer, inexplicable tenacity. Human, Zarthok's translator crackled. This is a restricted military zone. The cubs are in their aggressive phase. They cannot be. He never finished. The cubs erupted from their formation like a tidal wave of scales, claws, and teeth. 60 young predators, each weighing over 200 pounds, charged across the training ground. The instructors reached for their pacification weapons. Several guards raised their particle rifles. Sarah simply knelt down. The first cub to reach her, a mottled gray female named Kresh, didn't pounce. She stopped 3 feet away, head tilted, nostrils flaring. Her predatory instincts screamed prey, but something else stirred in her young mind, something the Crithians had tried to breed out generations ago. Curiosity. "Hey there," Sarah said softly, extending her hand slowly. "You're a big girl, aren't you?" Kresh took a tentative step forward, then another. Her siblings surrounded them now, not attacking but circling with uncertain movements. Their training demanded violence. Their instincts demanded caution. But something in this small, soft creature's scent triggered ancient memories coded deep in their DNA. Sarah reached into her satchel. Every weapon in the compound trained on her. She pulled out a ball. "Who wants to play?" she asked, tossing it gently into the air and catching it. Kresh's eyes locked onto the object. Her haunches tensed. Then she leapt, not at Sarah, but at the ball as it arced through the air. She caught it in her jaws and landed in a crouch, tail wagging. Wagging. Zarthok's translator emitted a sound like a strangled gasp. In 300 cycles of military training, he had never seen a Crithian warrior cub wag its tail. They didn't have that reflex anymore. It had been engineered out before the coalition even formed. The other cubs mobbed Kresh, trying to steal the ball. She darted away, and suddenly the most elite predator cubs in the quadrant were playing keep-away like common domestic animals. "What is this?" Zarthok demanded, stalking towards Sarah. "What have you done to them?" Sarah stood slowly, watching the cubs tumble over each other. "I haven't done anything, Commander. I'm just letting them be what they were before you turned them into weapons. They are warriors, bred for combat." They're children," Sarah interrupted, her voice carrying an edge that made the massive alien pause. "They're babies who've been taken from their parents and forced into aggression, training before they've even learned what play is." Another cub, this one a scarred male named Thorn, abandoned the ball game and approached Sarah. He was the largest of the group, the most violent in combat simulations. His instructor had recommended advanced tactical assassination training. He pressed his massive head against Sarah's leg and made a sound, somewhere between a purr and a growl. She scratched. Behind his ear ridge, Zarthok watched in horror as Thorn's eyes half closed in contentment. This cannot be. The aggressive phase is absolute. They should be attempting to establish dominance. They should be... "Commander, can I ask you something?" Sarah didn't wait for permission. "Why did your people start breeding warriors in the first place?" "To protect our worlds, to survive in a hostile galaxy." "And who were you protecting them from?" Zarthok's mandibles clicked in confusion. "Predators. Raiders. Those who would destroy the weak." Sarah nodded, watching as more cubs gathered around her, some playing, others simply sitting nearby with that same head-tilted curiosity. "My people have a saying. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. But there's another truth we learned the hard way." She knelt again, and the cubs pressed closer, seeking contact, seeking something their training had denied them. "The strongest warriors aren't the ones trained to kill from birth," Sarah continued. "They're the ones who know what they're fighting for, who understand loss, joy, friendship, love, who choose to fight because they're protecting something precious, not because it's all they know." Ridiculous human sentiment, Zarthok scoffed, but his voice lacked conviction. "Is it?" Sarah met his gaze. "Commander, why did you request a human consultant for your program?" Silence. Then, Because human soldiers are effective. Despite your physical limitations, you win battles you should lose. We wanted to understand why. It's not because we're the strongest or the fastest. It's not because we're the most aggressive. Sarah gestured to the cubs now rolling around her in a chaotic pile of scales and laughter-like chirps. It's because we fight for each other. For our families. For moments of joy worth protecting. She pulled out more toys from her satchel. Ropes, squeaky objects, puzzle balls that dispensed treats. The cubs went wild with delight, playing with an enthusiasm that their genetics supposedly made impossible. You can have warriors, Sarah said quietly, or you can have soldiers who know why they fight. The difference is everything. Kresh returned, dropping the ball at Sarah's feet. The cub sat, waiting, her tail brushing the ground in short, hopeful arcs. Sarah threw the ball again, and the cub raced after it, joined by a dozen others. Commander Zarthok watched his perfect killing machines transformed into children. Part of him wanted to rage against this violation of protocol. But another part, a part he'd thought long dead, remembered being young. Remembered playing in the sun-warmed sands of his homeworld. Remembered his clutchmates before the military separated them. How long? He asked finally. Will this effect last? Sarah smiled. That depends on you, Commander. How long do you want your soldiers to remember what they're fighting for? The cubs played until exhaustion claimed them. They didn't return to their segregated training cells. They curled up around Sarah in a pile of contentment, unconsciously recreating the family units their species had evolved with, before the coalition decided warriors didn't need families. In that moment, watching the humans surrounded by creatures bred to kill her, Zarthok understood why his people kept losing to humanity. Humans didn't make better weapons, they made better reasons to fight.